Okay, so I'm back again, another video. I think this is now a week. It's been a week of Nofap, so seem to be starting to get back on track. So like I said last video, I completed that PLC programming boot camp, and I got signed up for another boot camp. This time it's for Python. It's the complete Python boot camp for 2021. It's called From Zero to Hero, but it basically covers all the foundational concepts. And it's a big one. It's like 182 parts, so you have to like get through each of those, and then once you get through all that, you get a certificate. You can put that on your LinkedIn. I already put the other one on there. But like I said in my last video, plan is to essentially take like essentially like a boot camp for each of these programming languages, get through that. I can upload the code to my GitHub. Apparently I'm having some issues trying to upload some of the PLC programming stuff. I'm not sure what's up with that. I know I did save the stuff that I made, but when I go to upload it in GitHub, it doesn't show up in my directory, so I'm not sure, like, maybe that, GitHub just doesn't support those files, those types of, software, programs or whatever. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, unless I made some sort of screenshot or whatever, I'm not sure exactly how to sort of, demonstrate that I know all that stuff. Unless, I was interviewing for a job and they, threw something at me or like, okay, write a program for this, something like that. But I'll probably also take, some PLC programming stuff in the future to sort of build on what I've already completed and add those to my list of certifications. But like I said, I'm going to go through like some of these, these boot camps, basically one for each of these programming languages. And then after that, it'll either be, more courses that are like, let's say, more specifically focused, let's say on applications, for these languages. Like maybe I think there are some, like let's say bioinformatics courses out there that have you use Python or R or like SQL, something like that, where it's like, okay, here you know the language now, here's some bioinformatics applications, and you build programs to do those sorts of tasks, which I have built or made a handful of them, like 5 or 6 of them. There were like it was like me messing around with Python for bioinformatics and trying to solve some of these problems on this website called roslyn.info. So I have some of those there, but as you like, this would be more like scaled up, higher level stuff that, once I get to that point, and probably like automated software testing as well, some coursework for that, some certifications for that, using Python, or Java or whatever language specifically. So right now it's just Python right now, and once I get through that, then I'll be working down my way down the list. And the folks from Hamilton, they responded to me, and I'm gonna send back an email basically like, because I want to just pay for the certification right now while I have the money before something comes up and suddenly I have to spend it or whatever, because I have money to live on right now, and then I have that extra basically $5,000 that I'd used to pay for that certification. And like I said, I want to get that locked in and knocked out, because that's one of the major things that would really like open up the door to really getting in with this biotech automation. Because the idea is like, not only, I mean, it might not be required to, let's say, know Python or know R or SQL or Java or so, but I'm gonna turn on the car. It's kind of getting hot here. But while it might not be exactly required, and I hope you guys can hear me, but it might not be exactly required for the job, but those are just like sort of good to have skills. But really, you got to be sort of a subject matter expert with these different systems. And the idea is, of course, that when you get into that field, you you master at least one or two of these automated liquid handling robot systems, and then furthermore you keep expanding into other systems. So for instance, like right now I'm starting out with a Hamilton Micro Lab Star. Once I get through the advanced certification for that, do enough work with these different projects or systems or so, the idea would be then to move on to the Hamilton Vantage, and once that's taken care of, then either go for the TCAN Fluent, or I think it's EvoWare, or I think I might just go for the Agilent Bravo with like vWorks. But they got a list on this article. I'll probably go through all of those, but then there's ones that I've worked with that are not on the list that I know about, and I'd like to get those certifications added onto my list. Basically like master enough of these widely used systems that you become that invaluable, and people will throw gobs of money at you if you can like write programs for those, and fix bugs in the code, and also if you know how to like service the machines, like not just like replacing parts, yeah, but troubleshooting, figuring out what's wrong with the machine, replacing those parts, that sort of thing, and getting a machine that's down back up and running, for production. They'll throw gobs of money at you, and knowing Python, R, SQL, C#, Java, those are the languages that are listed in this article, but those are very useful for a number of other reasons. Probably things like interacting with a database that stores, let's say, CSV files that have like information pertaining to, let's say, a customer's order. Customer wants, like for instance, at one of the companies that I've worked at, let's say the customer wants certain genes to be made, and those genes are now on some sort of plate, 96 well, 34 well plate, and these CSV files will show you like, okay, which well has the gene that these companies want. Maybe the genes there are multiple genes are spread across several plates, and you can use that CSV file, start in a database, transfer that or copy that to, or send that over to the machine that's doing the aliquoting from plate to plate, and essentially use that file to tell it which well to go through in which plate, and pull from that and then put it into another plate. You can consolidate all the genes, let's say, or the chemical compounds or whatever that the customer wants into, let's say, one plate, and then you seal that up and package that, and then it gets sent on to the customer. And you can use Python, SQL, all that kind of stuff to work with those sorts of files. You might have a huge file that has a bunch of let's say DNA different genes are made all at the same time, and then you might have a script that reads the file, parses it, and based off of, let's say, customer name, or maybe like, I don't know, gene type or something like that, and then divides that, parses that, and writes it into a bunch of other files. And so it's very useful to know that kind of stuff. But really, like I'm picking up these other certifications, yeah, but the really big and important and big ticket items are the ones having to do with these specific proprietary automated liquid handling robot systems. And that's why I want to be getting back to those guys who responded to me at Hamilton, basically being like, okay, I got the cash right now. I want to get locked in. I have the dates and times written down on my calendar, so time rolls around, I'll be ready to go. To get that done, and I just want to get that locked in, and then after that, it'll be sort of the next goal. Will be like saving up enough to pay for the advanced level, and I'm just I'm looking at like, okay, I'm just going to be knocking down these systems, getting my hands in the software, learning the ins and outs of that. Because, maybe, who knows, maybe 2 years from now, by then, 2, 3 years from now, I'll have all that stuff, under my belt. And I mean, it's like once you get all that kind of stuff and you're that, like, that subject matter expert with all the certifications, the advanced degree, all that, like, knowing that sort of stuff, like I said, people will throw gobs of money at you. We're talking like easily 6 figures, maybe even close to $250,000 if you have all that knowledge and if you have an advanced degree and experience working with that sort of stuff. And we're talking about the kind of work where it's like you don't have to be in the lab every day. It might be a case of like, okay, we need you here now because a machine went down, or you need to head into the lab because you got some new protocol you created or some new method or so, and you need to actually do like a test run on one of the machines, that sort of thing. Or there's some new modification to some process and you have to go in there. Maybe you gotta like train the technicians up on this new process, that sort of a deal. And it's stuff like that where you do work, but it's more sort of like work from home and you don't have to be there every single day. And it's sort of like the ROI. It's this whole idea of like making an hour of your time worth that much more. Because if you're that subject matter expert who knows all the systems they're using, all the different robots, and you're skilled at all this sort of stuff, like you become that much more valuable, that much less disposable. And an hour of your time, I mean, it's almost like with some guys or gals who do sort of consultancy work. It's kind of like, oh, okay, an hour of my time, to advise you on, I don't know, your business ideas, or life advice, or you have some issues with some girl or whatever. An hour of my time is worth $100 or worth 150 or 200 or 250. It's like, if you do all these things that I'm planning on doing, it's kind of like you make your time that much more valuable. And it means that you don't have to do as much work in order to get what you need, and it frees up a lot more of your time to go and do those things that you really want to do, and puts you in a different category of people and life and all that. But right now, that's kind of like what I'm doing. I'm trying to make the next 3 to 6 months, barring some major catastrophe, which it's kind of like I'll cross my fingers hoping nothing like that happens. But the next 3 to 6 months, the plan really is to like be knocking out all these certifications, and really making that leap. Because like I've said in the past, I feel like I'm in this spot right now where it's sort of like this is a prime opportunity for me to really get certain things taken care of that, if I was back working right away, I might not be able to. And it would actually hold me back a lot further in terms of my career, in terms of my finances, in terms of my physical health, my mental health, etc. Like I think I've talked about in the past about some muscle pain I've been experiencing. Some of this stuff might, sort of like digressing a bit, but some of this stuff might be related to PMO, like, whenever you end up binging and literally the process is like you contracting certain muscles in your body in a certain fashion, in a certain manner. And since you're getting hyperstimulated, you're doing that at a way higher rate than you would be normally. And that can cause, muscle pain, muscle tension, muscle tear, that sort of thing. If you think about like, putting pressure on or weight on certain parts of, let's say, your musculoskeletal system in a manner that you normally wouldn't be doing, like maybe on your knees or on your back, your lower back, that sort of a deal. You do that sort of over an extended period of time, or even intensely over a very short period of time, you can cause like a lot of damage to your system. So it could be having to do with that. it could just be the fact that I'm generally speaking kind of out of shape. I've talked about in the past that before the whole COVID pandemic hit, it was like I had all these plans of like I'm gonna be doing all this exercising and getting heavily involved in some sports and stuff like that, where I'd be seeing to my physical health, my physique, my muscular strength and all that. And then the pandemic hit, and it became this very much like you're kind of in lockdown and quarantine. You're only able to go to and from work. So then it was sort of like, okay, so I can't do that, but what aspect of my life can I really work on? It became, predominantly about my finances. And then secondary to that was like the whole education and career sort of thing. And, I'm finding that I need to diversify. And I do have a, what's it called? A dip bar that I have at home. I had to set it up. I got kind of lazy and was like, oh, I'll get around to it eventually. But like, I have the parts, I have the instructions. I'd probably, I could probably make that like, a little project of mine. Perhaps even make a video showing me like setting it up or so. But it's something that I need to do, and it's kind of like you got to take care of all these different aspects of your life. And it's almost like weird or ironic, but you look at it in terms of like almost like a pyramid or a house. Your physical body, your physical health, heck, even your mental health. Those are all like foundational to like everything else. You don't take care of that, like you're not going to be able to get and keep a job and make that money, and you're not going to be able to take care of your finances, and all these sort of things sort of fall to the side. But I think right now, for one thing, I probably need to incorporate a stretching routine where I stretch out my leg muscles and abdominal muscles and like groin muscles, basically lower and upper abdomen, and get into like working out. I can do calisthenics, I can do that sort of stuff and build myself up that way. But a lot of it's just going to mean having to sort of try and strengthen my body in that sense, because I feel maybe like I have this sense that maybe a lot of this stuff is just sort of like a side effect of kind of letting myself go for like a couple of years after graduating from college, because other things became a priority. Stuff kind of got crazy for a bit, and I just kind of got set into that sort of routine of like I can't go out, I can't do anything because COVID. And as time goes on, maybe things will ease up a bit. We'll be able to go out more and do more things, but I can't let that be a reason for me to not take care of myself. And that also does extend into education and certifications and career and finances and that sort of stuff. So anyways, I know I'm gonna get back to the Python boot camp when I head back in. I just went and I bought myself, it's not some unboxing video, by the way, but I'm just putting out there, I bought myself a mouse, so it's a gaming mouse, but I just bought myself a mouse for my laptop. It's kind of getting annoying having to use that little mouse pad for anything really, so I wanted to just be able to use this mouse. It's got a USB cable, so I think it's probably a bit more sturdy than than those wireless mouses. I remember back in the day having a wireless mouse and having to like turn it off and turn it back on and kind of like knock it to the side a bit, to get it to work again, because it would kind of like freeze up every so often. Because I guess there just wasn't a secure connection. It was one of those cheapo like wireless mouses, but using this, and especially since like that one game that I put together, that actually the code is written into be working with a mouse, like the mouse click and like the mouse wheel and that sort of thing. So I can even go and test out that code a bit. To that end, I need to figure out how to. I need to get that extracted out or exported out into a jar file, because I really would like to send it over to some folks and see what they think of the game. But anywho, it's about 5 p.m. a little bit past 5 p.m. right now, and I'm just gonna get headed back in and get some more of that Python boot camp knocked out. And I can't remember the guy's name. Is it New Guy? I think it's him. Yeah, no. Thanks for the support, and yeah, if you're getting inspired to get back into coding and software dev, definitely go for it. It's one of those skill sets that you can do a lot with, and if you want to talk about improving your life, there's a lot of doors that open up if you learn how to code, especially with stuff like Python and Java, JavaScript, C, C++, C Sharp, SQL. What else? R is more for like data analysis and data science, and that's a good thing to get into. But if you can get those doors open up by learning how to do software development and write the code and that sort of thing, do software testing and so on, and debugging and fixing and whatnot, it'll open up doors career-wise and job-wise, which means more money, which means you can get more out of your life. You can do a lot more if you have the money, And if you want to get into talking about worldview and perspective and expressing your perspective, you can do a lot more of that when you have the money, because you can get yourself to a point where you're anti-fragile and people can't shut you down just because you raised your hand and said, "Oh, I don't agree with you on that particular issue." You're not. And we're talking about cases where you're obviously not expressing some sort of extreme political view or some sort of extreme philosophical view where you're threatening someone or whatever. Like, we're talking like enough cases out there where if you just disagree, it's considered dangerous or whatever. And if you have the money and you have multiple sources of income and so on, like, you can at least speak up and speak out and express yourself and have discussions and have debates and fruitful debates and discussions where people hopefully will join together and find a common ground and find a middle ground where, okay, we can work together, we can coexist, and we can get on with our lives. But if you don't have those means, monetary wise, like, you're kind of limited to shutting your mouth, putting your nose to the grindstone, keeping your head down low, that sort of thing. And for a time you may have to, but you can shorten that time by learning certain skills and such that allow you to get a career going, make some good money, do something that's intellectually interesting and stimulating, and get yourself out of the financial rut you may be in, and definitely build a better future for yourself. So I definitely encourage that, learning that sort of stuff. Right now, like I said, I'm working through Udemy, but beyond that, I may go for some official certification type stuff, official certification, like from a university, maybe a master's in data science or something of that nature in the future. But right now, just focusing on this sort of stuff right now. I repeated myself there, but basically I'm focusing on the basics right now. And I definitely encourage anybody to get involved with software development and learn those types of skills, even if you're not necessarily really super big on that sort of stuff, or not envisioning yourself as a software engineer. It allows you to do a lot of things with not as much effort, I guess you could say, and it's definitely empowering. So, anywho. Not here pushing or peddling any sort of agenda or movement, just all about self-empowerment and building a better future, building a better life, becoming anti-fragile, and getting more out of life, so you can be happy and others will be happy and that sort of deal. So anyways, I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching. Sitting the first week milestone of Nofap, and working on building a better future. So anywho, I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.